Welcome to the Park City Market Talk webinar for June 2021. My name is Ron Wilstein and I'm a broker at Keller Williams Luxury Properties here in Park City, Utah. I want to cover three things today in our webinar. First, I want to share with you what's been happening in Park City during the summer, as we've got lots of activities, things that we couldn't do last year because of COVID, we can do now. Then we're going to take a look at the real estate sales and prices in our booming real estate market. And then finally, I want to look at how people are negotiating real estate purchases and sales these days. To do this, I'm going to invite my team of Jeremy Wilstein and Dean DeLeon and myself to present a roundtable discussion. We're going to talk about how people are negotiating real estate deals these days. And so this is our agenda for this webinar. It will be a bit longer than our usual one, but I'm confident you'll find it insightful. So let's get started. Let's take a look at Summit County, where Park City is located, and see that we're ahead of schedule for vaccinations here. 83% of people living in Summit County who are eligible to receive a vaccination have received at least one dose. And if you want more details, you can go to the summitcountyhealth.org website for further details. The fact that so many people have gotten vaccinated and we have such a wonderful outdoor lifestyle is why things are almost back to normal in Park City. Lots of activities and things to do, whether it's in Park City or nearby Jornell Reservoir. And of course, we have the Deer Valley Music Festival with the first concert beginning Friday, July 2nd. Go to that deervalleymusicfestival.org website for all details. Lots of concerts, but not just at Deer Valley. There's also at Park City and Canyons Village. A lot of activities. The Canyons Village concert series begins July 3rd, runs all the way through September 1st, and you can go to the BuyParkCity.com website to get the details on all the activities happening at that resort. We just recently opened up, not we, I wasn't involved, but it happened without me, Park City Sunday Market, and that happens on Sundays from June 6th all the way through to September 26th. Please note the 3 weeks in August that it will not be occurring. But everybody likes to go to the bottom of Main Street, and lots of activity happening there. And then, of course, at this time of the year, we've got the parades for Independence Day, the 4th of July. A little different schedule because of trying to control how many people are in Park City rather than having the parade on the 4th of July and the fireworks that day. They've chosen to break it up. The Independence Day Parade will be on Friday, July 2nd in Park City, and then the fireworks celebration will be on Sunday, July 4th. Kimball Arts Festival, the Arts Festival will be here again. It was canceled last year due to COVID, but it will be on Friday, August 6th through Sunday, August 8th. And then you definitely want to check out the resort websites, ParkCityMountain.com, to see what's happening at the Park City Resort. Go to DeerValley.com, lots of activities at Deer Valley. And then let's not forget about Woodward Park City, where you've got indoor and outdoor activities to check out. So Park City is busy, hopping, lots of vaccinations done, lots of outdoor activities. So come and enjoy it. Now let's take a look at what's been happening with the Park City real estate market. Over the past 12 months, there's been a record 2,507 sales. That's homes, condos, and vacant land combined, all real estate brokerages combined. And that is up 1,218 sales, over 94%. If you've been following our monthly webinars over the years, right before the pandemic, there was approximately around 1,300 sales. And it is nearly doubled, and that's why you see such a big increase. Thanks to the COVID pandemic, Park City's real estate just went bonkers. Looking here at this graph, you're looking at homes, condos, and lots. The red bars represent the period of June 2020 through May 2021. Silver bars represent the same 12-month period the year before. So you can see the change, and you're going to see some crazy numbers here. Number of sales of homes increased by 94%, climbing from 485 to 941 sales. 71% increase in condos, climbing up to 1,171 from the previous 684 sales. and even lots, and we don't have that many lots around here, not that much available land, but it bumped from 120 sales to 395 sales. That is a 229% increase year over year. People were buying everything. Now this graph here breaks it down. We're looking at home sales, and I've broken it into Park City and the Snyderville Basin. 120% increase in the number of sales, went from 160 inside the city limits to 352, and an 81% increase for homes in the Snyderville Basin from 325 to 589. All of these are records. Condominiums, 77% increase year over year. In the city, we had 553 this past year compared to 312 year before, and 618 in the Snyderville Basin, a 66% increase from 372. And now let's take a look at vacant land. City, we've never had much vacant land. 21 sales the year before, 61 sales, 190% increase. Just about all vacant land was picked up in the city limits. Snyderville Basin, where there's more, nevertheless, there was a 237% increase. If you couldn't get a home and you couldn't get condo, you got land. It increased from 99 the year before to 334 transactions. So what does that mean? It means sales increased significantly in every category. So let's take a look at the prices. What did they do? Well, they were pretty crazy too. Look at this. Park City homes increased year over year, 40%. The median price previously was $1,977,500. It is now $2,770,000 in the Park City limits. Snyderville Basin, it increased year over year by 31%. A new record high, $1,660,000 is the median sold price, climbing from the previous $1,267,000. Those are homes. Now let's take a look at condominiums. 50% increase year over year. $1,175,000 is the median condo sale price, city limits. That increased from $783,000. We actually saw a drop in the Snyderville Basin, not by lack of interest and appreciation, but rather that which was available in the condo market for sales was a lower price product. And so that's why you're seeing a decrease here, not lowering the prices for any crazy reason. Median price went from $700,000 to $595,000. That's a 15% drop. But again, it's due to the price of that which was for sale, not a price reduction. Here we're looking at medium land in the city. Again, a different sort of product, so we see a 14% decrease. It's because we were selling less expensive lots. So the new median price is $1.2 million. It was previously $1.4 million in the city limits. But in the Snyderville Basin, it increased 48% year over year, with the new median price being $650,000, previously $438,500. So when we look at these graphs, prices were up in most categories, very strong market, and we saw prices increasing by double digits and as high as 50% over previous year prices. Now let's look at days on the market, and I want to take a moment to do this because I want to show you that the length of time it's taken for properties to sell is much quicker. I'm comparing the past 6 months in the red to the previous 6 months before that, and it may not seem significant, but the average time to sell a home was 89 days, approximately 3 months, dropped to 2 months, 66 days. So sales up, prices up, sells faster. That's the Park City real estate market. Hi, guys.
Hi, good morning.
Hey, how's it going, Ron? Pops?
It's going good. It's another day for a roundtable. And for the listening audience, welcome. We're going to turn our attention to the Park City hot real estate market, and specifically how negotiations between buyers and sellers have changed in the past year. Let me just begin by reminding those who are watching this roundtable that what prompted the change in our real estate market was COVID-19. Our market was strong beforehand, and it just went blasting crazy. And there were many causes, starting with COVID-19. Many people chose that they preferred to work remotely or quarantine in Park City, and whether they already had an existing property or a second home or rented one and then turned to buying it, it all just fed into our marketplace. That created overall a demand for the Park City real estate, both among rentals as well as among purchases, and that led to a record number of sales of homes, condos, and lots. And if you happen to be watching this roundtable as part of our monthly webinar, I just provided those statistics, and they were through the roof. It just really has been incredible. Significant price increases also accompanied that, up to 40 to 50% year-over-year appreciation. And this in turn reduced our available supply of properties on the market. So supply and demand then took over, pushed the prices even higher still. So that's where we find ourselves. We find ourselves in a place where sellers are getting record high prices, while at the same time some sellers want even more, and they're actually overpricing in this marketplace and slowing down their sale. And buyers are either acting out of desperation, doing whatever it takes to end up getting a property, or respectfully being left behind. So that's kind of an overview of what's happening in the market, and I'm just going to let Jeremy or Dean just respond to that, and we'll just start this roundtable.
All right. Well, yeah, that was a great intro of what we have been seeing over the last year. We are about sitting in June, I would say, about a year since when the market really started taking off after, we had this stoppage with COVID for about a month, and then the ramp up of people coming from cities and moving into their second homes and purchasing other pieces of real estate. This year has just been crazy in terms of the speed of the market, the number of buyers coming in, and just the presence around Park City. So I haven't seen something quite like this after being in Park City for about 32 years, my whole childhood.
The numbers that Ron presented earlier, everything Jeremy's saying, the market is booming, and we're seeing appreciation. But going back to what Ron mentioned, and buyers acting out of desperation, but maybe not out of desperation, or it is out of desperation, but trying to acquire a property right now. It's kind of like the wild, wild west, which is not, it's not what we're not seeing across the country. It's similar in other places. But people have to get creative. Buyers have to get super creative with their offers. We're seeing different offers coming in with things that have never really been a thing or thought of in the past in order to acquire a property aside from price. There's other strategies that are being employed to acquire these properties, and sellers are fully understanding the situation of the market right now, right? They are in the driver's seat in all of Park City, in the surrounding areas for that matter. If you're looking at Jordanelle, a lot of new construction stuff going on, materials prices going up. And I think worth noting, they're increasing prices in some areas on people that are under contract on new construction stuff. And those people are going with it, not canceling, because they know that builder can take the property back and sell it at a higher price. So for them to acquire that property, acquiring it's the deal for them.
One of the biggest things that we've seen as a change is how negotiations going on. In our Park City Link newsletter, we're actually dedicated the whole publication to this whole thing, because we wanted to let people know what has been happening and then how the marketplace has responded, whether you're a buyer or a seller. So let's talk about buyers for a moment. They seem to fall into two main categories, and one are those who are trying to purchase a property, but for lack of a better term, they're not operating out of desperation. They're kind of negotiating the good old ways we used to do it prior to our market boom. And the result is when they're not aggressive, for the most part, they're not ending up with the property. And that sometimes creates a more aggressive approach afterwards because they've missed out on 1, 2, 3 properties. And our inventory is so limited, there may not be the 4th or 5th one very soon, and it may have an elevated price. Or buyers are, with our help, we're advising them, trying to figure out the best way to get sellers to respond positively to their offers. And some of the things that I'm seeing out there is, cash obviously is dominant over a finance deal. 53% of our transactions are all cash. I'm also seeing listing agents, sellers agents coming back to buyers agents and telling them what they need to fix their offer to make it better, increase their chance. What are you guys seeing along those lines, or anything from that buyer perspective?
Sure, and I think you hit the nail right on the head, saying that we do have 2 different types of buyers. We have people that are looking, they do want to get a place, but they're not so desperate that, and frankly, they're not really probably getting the property unless the property has stayed on the market. Maybe it was overpriced in this market. There's some fixes that need to be done to the property, and they're acquiring a property like that. But generally speaking, when we have a good property listed in a somewhat comparable valuation, there's multiple offers on that property. And in order to be the one that gets that property, you really need to have a skilled realtor working on your behalf to ask the right questions to the listing agent. Price is obviously a huge thing for people, but it's not the end all. So many times in this market, you might offer them, a fantastic price, maybe overprice, beat out other people, or be comparable with another price that somebody else would offer. But now all of a sudden, through talking with the listing agent, you learn that, they don't want to move for the next 90 days. They don't, it would help if they got this credit for this. It would help if you allowed a rent back. It would help if we closed here, but did this. There's many details beyond just price that when it's presented to a seller and they look at it and they say, great, they gave me my price. And then, I can stay here for this time and I don't have to move twice. And, we feel really good about this. So it's important for, your buyer's agent to really ask a lot of questions to decipher what exactly that seller is looking for and how to formulate that offer. So it's, just like a cherry on top. They're like, that sounds great. Let's just accept that.
Jeremy bringing up the fact that a lot of people are doing leasebacks because sellers want to sell their property. They have not identified a new property. We've been seeing that a lot as people want to get their property sold and then stay in their Park City home for 90 days. I've seen people stay in there for up to 6 months, right? And a lot of that's rent free. So you close on the property, and then the winning bid or the winning buyer is going to allow the seller to live there for 6 months for free. I mean, they'll pay the utilities or whatever costs there are to the buyer themselves. But so unheard of basically in a previous market, but you see that commonly. And then another item is all the cash sales, right? Even if you have the cash to purchase, which obviously a lot of people in our market do, 53% of those sales are cash now, as Ron mentioned. But a lot of people prefer, even if you have the cash, prefer to get a loan right now with how low the interest rates are, which is hard to do, to take advantage of those interest rates when you're competing against other offers that are cash. So with those buyers, I mean, automatically, it's almost not even a discussion, right? When submitting the offer, you're automatically not including an appraisal condition or a financing condition or very limited financing condition as far as time, because you need to compete. And time is of the essence in these situations. Get your due diligence done. The seller wants to know that you're going to purchase the house and you're not going to pull them around. So it's very common, very common to just automatically eliminate an appraisal condition. Though we haven't seen a lot, or I personally haven't seen a lot of properties not appraised because appraisers are aware of the market conditions and what's going on. So that usually they keep up to it. But if it does come back, I mean, you as a buyer have to agree up front with the seller and not push on them that you're not going to come back at them if it doesn't appraise. You're going to make up that difference if you are in fact getting a loan and do win the bid, so to speak.
What do you recommend for a buyer who doesn't have the cash? They need to do the financing, but they want to present an offer that's as good, if it's possible, as a cash offer. What do they need to do in order to compete?
Yeah, that's a great question, Ron. I just had a buyer, finance buyer. We were competing in a multiple offer situation. We ended up getting the house because, I asked questions about what would benefit the seller besides price. And there was certain dates and times and this and that. And my buyer said, that's fine. We'll give that to them. He was financing the deal and we ended up getting it because we had a short financing deadline built into the contract. And the reason we could do that, and this was about 13 days, which matches a similar one of a cash deal, is because my buyer was very organized. He was pre-approved. He already had his lender, all his documentation. They'd already run his credit, got, saved days and days and days in the loan process. So if you're considering purchasing a property and you want to obtain financing, it's fantastic. Let's just get prepared, get pre-approved, get your lender all the documentation they need so that when you get a property and a property comes up, we can shorten these deadlines and have comparable cash deal deadlines. And all we need to do is order an appraisal and, cover a couple conditions. So don't be discouraged if you're financing, because you can act like a cash buyer by getting organized and getting your docs in place quickly.
Yeah, and going back to something that Jeremy actually mentioned earlier, where cash is king, but it seems like there's a big rush, and there is a big rush in some of these situations when a property hits the market, it's in high demand, which is most situations. There is a big rush, and it seems like other agents are in a big rush as well. So they're just writing up the offer, getting it signed, submitting it to the agent, right? Hey, this seems great. This is a great offer. I'm submitting it to the agent. In any market, it would be. But calling the listing agent and finding out what's important to the seller gives you a big advantage right now. Cash is king, but that's mainly at the end of the day, once it closes, a cash deal works the same for a seller as a financing deal, right? So they're getting paid either way. Now, if you have somebody that's getting a loan and is willing to let that person stay in the house for 6 months, a lot of cash buyers are bullish. Like have the thought process, I'm paying cash. I'm going to beat anybody else that's in this. Even though it's common, you could talk to them, tell them it's very common in our market, but not willing to bend on certain things. But if you're willing to bend and find out what that seller wants and give them what they're asking for, aside from price, obviously, improve and be ready, like Jeremy said, have all your financing done for the most part, aside from just getting the house or the project approved from an underwriter and being able to prove to that seller that we're ready, we're capable, and we're going to close on this property. We're just getting financing, right? But we're also working with you and giving you other things that you want that are important to you in order to make this purchase. And that seems to be very effective. I mean, sellers are in the driving seat, and other things other than price and just paying cash are important to them.
Yeah, I think one of the most important things we're doing these days is that pre-presenting of an offer interview that Jeremy mentioned with the listing agent, finding out what is important for the seller, because most agents just assume it's a price, and that's usually at the top of the list. But these other elements are what help get our clients to the finish line in terms of being the one that ultimately is selected. Let me also mention this, and this is a great option in this market. It's great in any market, but if you're not a cash buyer, but you want to be a cash buyer, and you don't want to be caught in the loan delays or that disadvantage in negotiations. If you happen to have a brokerage account, you can go to that broker, most brokerage, not all of them do this, and you can create, in effect, a line of credit against your stock positions. Now, this is great because, number one, our stock market is doing great, and you may hold positions you don't want to liquidate in order to buy and be a cash buyer. You don't have to liquidate them. You can get a loan from that broker. They will give you the cash. It's secured against your brokerage account. You can be a cash buyer, secure the property, buy it, and then without the pressure of competing against other buyers, go get your long-term financing, pay off that loan that you took out from your brokerage. That's how you become a cash buyer without having the cash and without needing to liquidate your brokerage account. Anyway, let's flip the coin now. Let's talk about it from the seller's perspective. Sellers have an interesting issue to work on when they decide to list their property. Where do they list it from a price point of view? We're seeing one of two strategies being utilized, and just need to talk about it because we're talking about negotiations. One is, what's usually done is you'll look at the comparables, both within the neighborhood of a property or the condo property, as well as competition outside that neighborhood, or just competition, whether your property is in Park City and you're going to the Snyderville Basin, or vice versa, or extending into other condos. The point is, what you do is you look at that data, you look at the available inventory, you look at how many sales there have been, and you determine the highest reasonable price to list your property at. Sometimes you even go a little higher than that for list price. The philosophy behind that is, I only have one property, I only need one buyer. I can narrow down the number of buyers in order to get that high price, let them weed themselves out, make the deal, I'm coming away with the highest possible sale. The other alternative that results in sometimes even a higher sale price is to actually price it lower, attract more buyers, and create an auction atmosphere, in effect, a bidding war. And now people are posturing against each other. And not only do they want the property, they want to beat out people. And now they're pulling out all their stops. And this gives the seller more control or leverage over getting those additional turns in addition to price at the end of the day. Some properties are better suited for one strategy or the other. But what do you guys think? And what advice are you giving to people?
Yeah, again, that's what I'm seeing. I'm sure Dean's seeing this as well. Either, hey, let's price it maybe slightly lower the market or a little bit lower, and let's see what kind of multiple offers, what kind of action, what kind of bidding war we can stir the pot up with, or hey, let's price this and then let's push it a little bit because we only do need one person. And it's tough. It's tough from a selling standpoint. When you price it at that lower number, you're not sure exactly what you get, but there's blood in the water, so people might really bid that up. I think if you have a more common property, not super custom, then going with the pricing it lower model, because you probably have a bigger buyer pool. And let me back up, not custom and more regular home, I'd say maybe a single family home below like $1.5 million in Park City, or below $2 million, because there's going to be a lot of buyers out there looking for that. And that might be an opportunity to price it right at that mark or slightly lower, because everybody knows, people have a good feeling for where the market's at. So there should be a lot of good activity, and you can figure out what kind of activity there was from previous sales by talking to the previous listing agent. Say, hey, how many offers did you get? Did you get multiple offers? And they say, yeah, we got 8 offers. Then that's another great piece of information. They said, no, we had it on the market and we only got 1 offer. We may have a different strategy. So we look back on the historic sales to really get an insight into what may happen on the next sale.
Yeah, I think, maybe around this time last year, or maybe a little later in the fall into early winter, where pricing it low and getting multiple offers was an effective strategy. Still, it could be now today. You don't want to go too low, though, because it becomes overwhelming. Overwhelming with the amount of offers. If you generate, 12, 15, 20 offers and having to decide, think about looking at all those and deciding the right offer to choose. It's overwhelming for a seller. And some of those offers are going to be people where they're maxed out their price, right? And they're hoping to get it, but you still have the offer and look through it and understand that it is a potential option, and you have to spend the time doing that. Not that we care about spending the time, but for a seller and making it easier on them making a decision. So reasonably pricing a property is the right play, I think. If there's a demand for it, you're going to get a higher price, and it's going to create that bidding war. But if you're at the right price, that you got your one or two buyers that are going to be out there and pull the trigger probably pretty quick and purchase the property. We do see, or talk to people, just in normal conversations with people, it's not just throw a number at the wall and you're going to get it. There is buyer pushback at certain thresholds depending on where your property is. So it's not, hey, I've got a $2 million home that I'm going to sell for $4 million because this market's crazy. That doesn't work. We are seeing buyer pushback at certain properties. And I think it's indicative. I would just mess around running some numbers, indicative between the average and median days on market, right? So average days on market, really take into account those ones that are sitting on the market for 150, 200, 300 days in some situations. Those are outliers in our market. But we're seeing more than half. The median days on market are less than half what the average days on market are. So those outliers really are bumping average. And I'll just give you one quick example. And this is from January 1st of this year. For single family homes in Snyderville Basin, the average days on market of 50 days on market, super long time, right? Not really, for anybody who didn't catch my sarcasm there. But the median days on market is 7.5. And so that there's a big difference between those, and that's people overpricing the property and is sitting versus properly pricing your property and getting it sold pretty quickly.
Yeah, one of the things we want to make sure that whether you're a buyer or seller, you understand is, yes, we have a hot market, and we have, in some instances, depending upon the price range of the property, whether it's multi-million dollars or whatever, of buyers realizing they are in or about to go into a multiple offer scenario and trying to make it really easy for the seller by offering them $200,000, $300,000 more above list price. I know of a recent transaction in the colony where the buyer knew they would be in potentially, not even for sure, but potentially a multiple offer scenario, wanted the property so badly, had missed out on properties. They offered $800,000 over the list price. Wasn't a really complicated decision for that seller which to offer. Okay. So again, that's an outlier story, but we want to make sure you understand it. The flip side is exactly what Dean said. We've got some properties that we're kind of amazed. Some are condos, some are homes that they haven't sold. And is it price, or is it a recognition that there's a unique element to a individual property that makes it less appealing to the masses, and therefore, that's not the type of property that you pick the multiple offer strategy, price it low, in order to create multiple offers. Great if it happens, but you might have to bring it down just to get any offers. So there's a real ebb and flow, and there's a real individual side to this. If we're looking to advise a seller, we need to see their property. We need to provide a market analysis and a total market overview of all their competition so they can see all the elements and make an informed decision. And it's not just eating money more, picking a number out of thin air. We need as much data. And then the skill to manage multiple offers for a seller, it's really a skill that is really important and will translate into tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's our marketplace. Welcome to Park City Real Estate. My gosh. Anyway, any final tips or thoughts either of you want to share?
I would just encourage you, if you're out there looking for a property, to just contact us. Just write either me or Dean a message and let us know what you're looking for, because we'll go to work for you. And oftentimes we're finding properties before they come to the market, so you get a leg up. And we have listings that we come on and we share with our buyer clients first to give them the leg up. And if you're a seller in this market, again, it's not going to last forever. I mean, this is a great run we're having, but we still have that demand, but 50% appreciation year over year. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. So.
Yeah, I mean, communication's key, especially right now, right? In the market that we're in, we need to understand what you want and what you're looking for if you're a buyer, or what your plans are when you would like to sell if you're a seller. I mean, communicate with us. If you're interested, if you just have an inquiry, reach out, don't be shy. Communication is key. I mean, moving quick. I mean, the point of this webinar, I guess, would be you got to move quick in order to be successful in our market right now. And you got to be assertive. But you also have to have somebody that's on your side, knows what they're doing, that's going to best represent you and put their best foot forward. And that's what we do. It's what we've always done. That's what we strive to continue to do. So we look forward to hearing from whoever's listening, buyer or seller. We're ready to help you navigate this wild market.
Yeah. And we're happy, as we all know, the widespread vaccination is really helping us return either to a normal or to a modified new normal. And we don't see that significantly impacting the Park City market, but people have learned they can live wherever they want, they can work remotely, and that's what's fed our market. And as you've, I'm sure, heard, a lot of businesses want to return, and a lot of employees don't necessarily want to return because they don't want to be back in those offices as much, and that just feeds our marketplaces and marketplaces like ours. Anyway, we hope you found this helpful. We are available to answer any of your questions, to help in any way that we can. Well, we covered a lot in today's webinar. I want to thank everyone for watching. I want to remind you that we're here to assist you in any way that we can. And you may want to bookmark BuyParkCity.com. We have plenty of market data there, statistics. We keep them updated every single month. So hope you'll take advantage of our website. Call us, email us if we can help you in any way.